Live. Hey everybody, Aaron Blaze here, and this is a special treat today. First of all, it is November 4th, and Polar Bear Week started November 2nd through the 8th. And so we thought we'd head up to Churchill, Manitoba. Why not? So now we are in Churchill, Manitoba for Polar Bear Week, where we are out with Polar Bears International, and I'm sitting today with Alyssa McCall. Say hi.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
And from Polar Bears International, and we are out in Tundra Buggy 1. They're a brand new Tundra buggy, and we are out looking at polar bears. We've had an incredible day today, and we thought it would be really cool to come out, draw polar bears, broadcast live. I love the fact that we are living in the future because we can get to you guys from the tundra with polar bears in front of us, wild polar bears, and we can draw, and we can talk, and we can have a great time during Polar Bear Week. So we're here. So I'm gonna do a little bit of drawing today. I want to show you what we've done. We've been here for a few days. And I want to talk to Alyssa. She's a polar bear expert from Polar Bears International. Well, I'm here with a whole bunch of experts here, and we're just going to talk about everything polar bears and sea ice and drawing, and we're just going to have a great time. And you guys can bring in questions. I got Nick here too. Say hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
There he is. So we brought the whole gang except for Dustin. Sorry, Dustin, you're back home. So if you're watching, you'll dig it when you make it here. So anyway, you know what? I've got my questions right here. Alyssa, I wanted to start out with, you guys have a mission here. Your mission is you're science-based, as you were saying. You want to learn about polar bears. You want to save polar bears. You want to preserve polar bears. What are the greatest challenges that polar bears are facing today?
Right. The greatest challenge for the population broadly is habitat loss due to climate change. And of course, their habitat is the Arctic sea ice. And it's a tricky conservation issue because with a lot of animals, when we talk about habitat loss, it's land-based. So we can do things like put up a fence, we can plant more trees, we can even hire wardens to protect an area. But with sea ice, of course, we can do none of those things.
Right.
We really need to work as a global community and be proactive to protect it.
It's funny, I don't think a lot of people realize this. Polar bears, obviously, people think of the Arctic, they think of polar bears, and I think that's the extent of their knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So when people think of polar bear or bears in general, they think, okay, bears hibernate, they go to sleep in the winter and they come out and they feast on, during the summer and the springtime. That's not how it works with polar bears, is it?
No, they're like the complete opposite.
Opposite, right.
Yeah, exactly. So their summertime is their really lean time. They're usually wherever they are in the Arctic, they have little to no access to their main prey, which is seals. And mostly seal blubber is really what they're going for. And then in the wintertime, as the temperatures start to cool down, you see the brown bears and black bears maybe start to head to sleep for a while, and the polar bears are perking up, and they're getting ready as soon as that ice freezes. Here it will freeze on Hudson Bay, but as the sea ice freezes across the Arctic, they are heading out, they're hunting, they're starting their feeding season.
You mentioned earlier something I thought was really interesting. They have some of the longest fasting periods of any land-based mammal or just land-based carnivore?
I should look it up. I don't want to misspeak, I'm not sure, but I believe it's even in just mammals broadly. I don't know of any longer ones. Anyone is welcome to correct me out there, but at least it's one of the longest. So these pregnant female polar bears in particular in this area, they're mating in the spring, they're coming onto land in the summer when the ice melts on Hudson Bay. And if they are healthy enough in the fall, they will, they have what's called delayed implantation. So they might have a fertilized zygote floating around. If they're not healthy enough, that'll flush out and they'll head back out onto the ice that winter. If they are healthy and fat enough in the fall, that will implant and they'll be pregnant.
Right.
They'll go to a den, they'll go through the winter giving birth to their cubs, nursing their cubs for a few months, and then they'll emerge in roughly March of the next year. So adding that all up, that's about 8 months without eating anything. And so these females have to get so fat before they head into these dens to then live off their own body fat for those 8 months. It's really quite astonishing what they can do.
I wish I could do that.
Right? Yeah.
We've got some questions coming in.
If you
guys go ahead.
Yeah, they're already coming in. Some people are just asking, what is that vehicle that you guys are in?
Yeah. So we are so lucky. So we partner with Frontiers North Adventures, and for years we had this little Tundra Buggy 1 that would roam the tundra, and it was our mobile broadcasting studio, and we loved that little thing. But it was getting old. We used it for a couple decades out here.
I was going to say, it was like 45 years old. It was like
Yeah.
late 70s or early 80s you
Oh,
guys got it?
absolutely,
or that's
yeah.
when it was built
It
anyway?
itself was well over 40, maybe even 50 years old, and we just couldn't even get parts for it anymore. It wasn't
Yeah.
going to last much longer. So by partnering with Frontiers North Adventures and Noble Northern, who helped build this new EV, Tundra Buggy 1, from the ground up, and some generous donations from wonderful donors, we were able to build this new EV Tundra Buggy 1, and it's bigger. We can sleep more people. It's, of course, very quiet. It's better for the environment, more sustainable, and it is just, this is my first day on it, and it is an absolute joy.
Yeah, it's our first day,
phenomenal.
obviously.
Yeah,
And so
together.
You guys, for those of you, obviously, all you guys can see is the front area where everyone sits when we're driving and everything. But there's a kitchen back there. There's beds. I keep calling it a land ship. It's like, and you have to go to the docking port, and we get up on the dock and we walk onto the ship and we head out into the tundra,
And
and it's incredibly smooth. I mean, there's a little bit of rocking back and forth, but we're going over boulders and
Yeah.
pits and potholes and all kinds of stuff through the tundra, and we're just kind of riding in comfort. And I'm sitting at a desk with all my art supplies strewn everywhere, and I'm drawing. So it's been absolutely amazing. I want to go a little deeper. Let me go in a little bit more. So, and this, I think this is for, this is something that you and I can speak to. I've got this question. Why do you think science alone is sometimes not enough to move people to action?
Yeah, it's funny. I've thought about this a lot because
Yeah.
I did train as a scientist, and I think scientists sometimes think, well, it should be enough, and that should be what it is. And we're used to looking at data and numbers, and that tells us a sort of story. But yeah, I mean, we've seen it again and again for decades. We should know by now that presenting people with statistics and figures and graphs isn't moving the needle on anything. It's not changing their hearts at all. And it's
Right.
really, you have to show, not tell so often, and showing, that's part of like these live streaming cameras we have, that's part of the art that you're doing and that we love
Yes.
to partner with. Showing people helps build that empathy, helps build that love, and people want to protect what they love. And so that's really how we're gonna get there.
I totally agree with that. You had said something a while back on one of our meetings. You were talking about, the polar bear is us. The effects that the polar bear is going through is what we go through as humans. There's that empathetic experience that we're going through. That we're just as susceptible to what's happening to the globe as polar bears are, in a certain degree, right? And so, being able to get across that empathy and that sympathy too, actually, sympathy and empathy to want to spur to action. And from my point of view, it's doing it through storytelling. But I love, especially now that we're up here, because I've got a feature that I want to do called Polar that Nick and I have been working on as a follow-up to Snow Bear. And learning at least the tiny little bit of science that we're learning when we're with you guys, it really affects what we do in our film. So it's adding authenticity to that story that we want to do to move people. So I don't know. I think this is a really cool partnership that we have that I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. We're just so grateful to have you up here. It adds such an important element to the work we're trying to do up here, because we're not at this time of the year, honestly, we're not tending to do a lot of research, like science-based research. This is the time of year where we just love the bears.
Yeah.
There's other times of the year we're out in the field, we're collecting data, but here we're watching the bears, we're loving them. And to be able to then add your storytelling component and have guests like you up here, is just amplifies that message so huge.
Talk about that a little bit, because you're just saying, go out in the field collecting data. What does that mean? What does that involve?
Yeah, so we, Polar Bears International leads different research projects. We also support quite a few different research projects. One of the most important research projects, I think, in the polar bear world, and one that we've supported for years and I've been a part of, is the long-term monitoring program here. So in Western Hudson Bay, these Churchill bears, this is the best studied population of polar bears in the world. There's over 40 years of data, and it was these bears here, because of that data collection, that we were able to actually link declines in population to changes in climate and sea ice. So that sort of data, it involves the scientists going out, They are handling bears. It only happens really a few weeks a year. They are collecting data on body size, body weight. They're gathering fur samples, fat samples, analyze. You can get at their diet, pollution, stress, age. You can learn so much about these bears in a short period of time. And then if you do that for decades, you're really better understanding these animals. And Churchill, well, you can see here, there's not many places in the world these bears are so accessible. This is the best place to study them.
We've been out here just for a few hours, and we've seen, what, 8 bears, 9 bears?
Yeah,
something like that?
right away.
We had bears I got to show you. Look at this image right here. This isn't something I just made up. We watched this live in our last interview that we were doing. And so I'm watching bears spar in front of me. I'm watching mothers walking by with cubs. I'm watching, a loner walk through and get chased off by one of the bigger bears in there. I mean, and this all happened just in the last couple of hours. So, and we're going to be out here for 3 days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we're in a pretty small area too, relatively speaking. These bears spread along the coast, up and down, and we're just in a small, really, we call it buggy land or the wildlife management viewing area, and it's not that big, and there's a lot of bears coming in and out. It's pretty cool.
I want to share a little bit of. Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about what we've done?
I was just going to say, well, I've got some questions I can get to, but I can also talk about, first of all, so yesterday, when we first got here, we didn't come right to Churchill. We started in Winnipeg, thanks to our friends at Travel Manitoba, and they took us out to the Winnipeg Zoo.
Assiniboine.
Assiniboine Zoo Park in Winnipeg. And we got to see some amazing things. These polar bears were underwater wrestling one another. I think we're rolling a clip of it right now, as a matter of fact. It was unbelievable. And Aaron, you did some drawings there, right?
I did.
I think we've got some of those we can show.
Are the clips still rolling?
They're looping, but we're good. We got it.
So check this out, guys. So there's a seal. Drew one seal. That's all you get. One seal. And these are, I got these, I call them little polar bear snacks. But they've got a little seal enclosure next to where the polar bears are, and the seals just kind of do these loops and swim all over the place. And it's really cool because you can go down below the water line and look through the glass and see everybody swimming, so it's really neat. But within the polar bear exhibit is, there's a glass tunnel, and through there, the bears will come in and swim. And they said, well, you might see them for a little while. They might come in, you might see them for a few minutes. They were there for an hour and a half. And they were swimming and playing and sparring and wrestling and having such a great time. And I just pulled up a chair and sat and drew the polar bears. And so it was a really great experience, really a unique angle, to see them. How often do you get to see polar bears underwater unless you're diving? And if you are, then you're polar bear food.
Speaking of polar bears, I want to let people know that this is Polar Bear Week, as we mentioned earlier, and there are live webcams on explore.org all week long, right?
Yeah, all from mid-October through at least mid-November.
Yeah, because they're coming through Churchill, and they're just catching them as they're coming through, right? And and they come here waiting for the ice to freeze, right?
Right, yeah, the temperatures are cooling down. The sea ice will freeze up in the next week to month or so. We never know quite when, but the bears can sense it's happening. And the Churchill area, based on water patterns and geography, it tends to freeze here pretty early, so the bears kind of show up here a little bit early.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting. Yeah.
And it's really gusty and windy out there. There was some snow blowing earlier. Yeah. I think it looks like we might have some bears up on one of the webcams there. I don't know, is that?
Well, there's one, we could just see them, just see the tops of their bodies. They're kind of hunkered down up in the willow there in the brush.
But the winds, I think, are blowing, they're going to be gusting tonight up to 75 kilometers an hour, right? Which is
a bit later.
35 miles per hour, something like that, give or take. Got some other questions coming in.
Sure.
Of course, I've just lost it. This is a drawing question. What do you use when you're making those highlights on the fur to make it look white?
Bada bing, right here.
Is that a darker paged sketchbook?
Yeah, so I'm using, it's cheap paper. If you're looking for something cheap to draw on a really great surface, I use newsprint by Canson. Canson makes a great newsprint, and people worry about, well, it's not acid free and all this kind of stuff. It's not that bad, and it'll still last quite a few years, and it's cheap. This is 100 sheets for like $7. So if you're out there and you got a budget, this is great paper to draw on. It takes pencil, it takes all kinds of, it doesn't take paint. You can't really paint on it. But you can see here I'm using graphite and I'm using these acrylic markers on top of it for the white highlights, and it just goes on really nice, creates a great effect. And I'm using these Mitsubishi Hi-Uni 10B pencils, so they're really deep, dark, and they're so soft. I always say it's like drawing with chocolate. It's super, super soft, really nice to draw with. So
we got a question from Zaunji. Technically, this could be for Zaunji. This could technically be for both of you, but
yes.
What, if anything, has surprised you most now that you're getting to sketch? Well, I guess it is more fair. Getting to sketch polar bears in their natural environment.
Yeah, we got that question earlier as well, and for me, I'm surprised at how much we're seeing. I always think of polar bears as just you're lucky to see one maybe half a mile away. You're out on the Arctic, out on the ice or wherever, on the ice pack. But I forget, they're all kind of congregating here, right? Waiting for that ice to freeze. And it freezes here because of the Churchill River, right? Because it's fresh water. The fresh water freezes first, and so the ice starts to go out. Is that right?
Yep, that's one of the factors for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so, as soon as that ice starts to go, then they're out there getting their favorite food. So they're kind of concentrated here. So even though they're concentrated, I knew that intellectually, but I still was surprised that we made it out here and there's bear. It was really crazy. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And Elise, I did find that question for you. Are polar bears ending up in more populated areas more often as their habitat is shrinking? And if so, what are the steps being taken to keep them safe in those kinds of situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's something Polar Bears International is investing more and more in. In fact, during Polar Bear Week, we're really highlighting some of our coexistence work. So polar bears are spending more time on land in more places as the sea ice season shrinks. So this looks different depending on where you are in the north, but we do want to keep as many polar bears in the wild as we can while we work on climate change. And in the meantime, we want to support the people that are increasingly living with the world's largest land predator.
Yeah.
So this looks different. We want to support communities in their own way, but a few things that we're doing, and Churchill is a wonderful example, again, because there's so many polar bears here, this is the best place in the world to test technologies or see what works and what doesn't work. One of the number one things, which probably won't surprise anyone, because it's true for basically all bears, is waste management. So, locking up attractants, making sure that bears are not getting rewarded for coming into towns. Churchill is an interesting example. They used to have an indoor garbage dump, and it burned down last year. And so they're back to an outdoor garbage dump, and it has been a problem. And they're doing the best they can to manage it while they work to get a new solution. But it absolutely brings more bears in when there's garbage. So we've also helped supply Churchill with bear-resistant garbage bins. That's a big one. At the same time, we're doing things like we are providing communities with bear safety tools, non-lethal or less lethal at least, so bear bangers, cracker shells. We are bringing trainers into communities to train people how to safely move polar bears away. We help develop and build a new bear trap that's much safer, and have given a couple of those out to communities. We've also, a huge one for us has been community knowledge sharing. So we've hosted a couple workshops, one in Churchill and one in Svalbard, Norway, bringing Norwegians and Canadians together from different communities to share their knowledge about living with polar bears and what works, what doesn't work, what does the future look like. Everyone loves the bears and wants to see them around, but yeah, it will get more challenging and it's dangerous for both species. So working on solutions is a high priority for us.
I just figured out why we're seeing so many bears. You said it because they're attracted to garbage. They're bringing so many more. You said so many bears are attracted to garbage. Hey, there you go. So there it is.
Yeah.
But so after this, and for those, I think that there's probably going to be a few viewers out there that weren't really aware of Churchill and that this existed, in my group. And if someone wanted to come to Churchill, what can they expect? Let's say we've got a big following in the States. If someone wanted to come up here from the States, what what should they bring? What do they need to think about if they want to come to Churchill and see bears?
Oh, that's a great question. So there's a lot of ways to do it. I think one of our top pieces of advice would be to really research who you're going with, what company you're going with, what guide you're going with, and to try to go with a guide or a company that's from Churchill and knows what they're doing. We do not really want to encourage people to just come up and rent a car and drive out on their own and try to look for stuff. It really helps if you're with someone experienced who knows the bears, who respects the bears. That's a really good way to do it. We, of course, one of our bestest partners is Frontiers North Adventures. They're really committed to sustainability. They have these beautiful Tundra buggies. That's a great way to go. We also have other wonderful folks we work with in town. We also, with the Churchill Bear Smart Working Group, which we sit on, and with many of those tour operators who are doing a great job, we help develop Churchill polar bear safety videos that are super fun, and anyone can watch those on YouTube or online. So let's watch those before you come to Churchill if you can. And yeah, just do a little bit of research. There's different times a year to come now too. More people are coming in the summer. You can still see bears and you can see some belugas, so that's a good time. Of course, the fall is wonderful right now. Or just come and watch Northern Lights in February or March.
You mentioned renting a car or getting a car. There's no roads up here. I mean, you can get a car here in town.
Good clarification.
There's a train that comes here.
Yeah.
You can't drive to Churchill. You can only take a train or you can fly in, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because we're way far north. We're not in the Arctic. I keep saying, hey, we're in the Arctic. We're not in the Arctic, but we are pretty far north in Manitoba, Canada. I don't know what latitude
58.
We're at. 58, that's right. So that's a long ways up. And if we're lucky, right now we can't. It's kind of cloudy, but we may see the Northern Lights on this trip as well, which I've never seen. So
just the weather outside is incrable. Like the fact that
we're just rocking right now because of that wind.
Yeah, someone was asking. They're like, "Are you guys up on some sort of swaying platform?" So this buggy has these, for just to paint a picture for people. It's like big, giant tractor-style tires that would be like on a industrial, like a bulldozer or something like that.
We call it like a polar bear monster truck sometimes.
Yeah, like a polar bear monster truck. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And so the suspension with all that, that's why you're seeing the swaying, the wind is gusting. It's amazing to me that the bears this is just normal to them.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild. I know. I think about their lifestyle sometimes, and I still can't believe a bear has evolved to live out on the ice because it's dark, it's windy like this, it's freezing cold. Their sea ice is literally moving beneath their paws constantly. Like it is it blows my mind that they're thriving out there on the ice when conditions are good, and they just like it.
I'm drawing very quickly kind of what we're
Look at you go.
Yeah, just very quickly. This is just for you guys that are watching at home. So imagine a big monster truck, big swamp buggy, on giant, big, fat suspension. It's sort of like this. So we're all sitting up in the front right here. And the pilot sits here. And we're all up in this area. Then back here is kind of the galley and all of our beds and everything where we sleep. And then back here is a really cool open area viewing platform. So it's like a big back deck. And you can go in the back out there and you can see the bears. I've already been out there shooting photos and all kinds of cool stuff. So that's what it looks like. And it's like a boat on wheels. And so we're just out there cruising the tundra.
Just cruising.
So to speak. You have anything else to add in there, Nick?
No, just
I'm running out of words.
We were out on the back deck earlier. We got some amazing footage of the bears just walking right behind us. And of course, right when we go live, they decided to hunker down and go to sleep. So hopefully we'll get some bear action before we stop here. But it was unbelievably cold out there, just feeling the wind whip on my fingers. I was like, I got to go back inside. I can't do this. But
how well does that focus on this? Is it able to focus on here if I hold it up? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
Do it live.
We're doing it live right there.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's video that I shot from the back patio of this little bear that, and this was a kind of a smallish bear that wanted to go between the two Tundra buggies that were here. So he's just kind of standing there hanging out. But I got some really great footage. Let me see what else I've got here. I've got so much. Really quick, I want to go back here really fast.
Erica Bay asks, any chance you guys will put out a polar bear artist reference pack when you get back?
Yes. So check this out. So this is earlier, if you guys can see, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
This was the really great footage, and this was just shooting with my iPhone. So this is how great they are. They're very close, and this is a bear that came walking in, and we had the snow blowing. You see that little yawn because they're like, it was walking up, and when you see those yawns, that's when they're getting a little, a little nervous maybe sometimes because he's walking up on us and he's kind of exploring us and wants to make sure that we're not a threat, I guess. But he's sniffing the air, and it was really kind of cool. And he's just walking along exploring. So that's where I was just beside myself because this was kind of our first close-up of the bear. So that was pretty cool.
And
so that's what I'm drawing here now is that bear.
Someone on
had that in my head.
Someone on TikTok asks, are there... Oh,
Yep, sorry.
hold on one second.
There you go.
Hold it. Hold.
There you go.
Hold.
There you go.
Hold.
There you go.
Someone on TikTok asks, are there caribou where you're at in Churchill?
There are caribou, yep. So we probably won't see any here right now, but there absolutely are caribou around in the summer and fall. Yeah, they're pretty cute too.
So Churchill is the polar bear capital of the world, but they also claim the beluga whale capital of the world as well, right?
Right. So a lot of tens of thousands of beluga migrate down from the Arctic into Hudson Bay in the summer. They have their babies, the water is shallower, so it's safer, it's warmer, they're eating a lot of food, and in particular, the Churchill River gets, what is it, Kyron, 4,000 belugas or more?
Yeah, your good numbers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a bear coming outside
great.
to the right side here behind us.
Oh,
I don't
we'll
know
keep
if
an eye out.
he's going to walk right past camera here. We might be able to get him on this camera here.
Let's see if we go
Might
that way.
be 30, 45 seconds, yep.
Yep. Stay tuned. We got bear.
Yeah, and just quickly on the beluga, so we do have beluga cams underwater and above so people can listen to them. And
that's
occasionally
cool.
a polar bear will get one.
Bear's there, Aaron. You want to take a look?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
watch
can I
her.
get up?
Oh yeah, you're good, just watch her.
Where is it?
There you
Oh, look at this.
Perfect.
Look at that. Hold on. Hold on. I'm wasting this moment.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're gonna have it on
Can we?
this camera.
Yeah, you want to go to Ryan's cam? That is right outside our window right now,
That's
everybody.
right outside our window, you guys. So this is how lucky we are. How lucky is that?
Yeah, this is Churchill. We are outside Churchill, Manitoba. People are asking in the comments. They said the anticipation is unbearable waiting for it. Can we see it? Can we see it? You should be seeing it now.
Wow.
Just
Oh,
walking
there's
this
a
way.
bear up on the other side.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh yeah, his head's up.
he's
it's
popped up.
watching
His
that
head's
one.
popping up. See, this is the thing. This is, Zounji, if you're still watching, this is what was surprising. We're surrounded by bears. And so because of that, Churchill is part of this as well, the town, obviously. So the bears, they don't draw a line between here and Churchill. So, you guys have a lot of strict rules about moving around town during bear season and, when to go out and can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when in Churchill, when in bear season, our assumption always is that there's a polar bear right outside. So when we are going between buildings, particularly at night and very much so in the morning, you try to go in a group, your head's on a swivel. Those of us that are staff at Polar Bears International, we tend to always have at least a flare on us, often bear spray just in case. At nighttime, we tend to drive even if it's a short walk. Where we all live at home, we much prefer walking when we can, but here it's a little bit different. And so there's a bit of a myth that in Churchill it's illegal to lock your doors. That's not quite true, but I will say many people leave doors of at least vehicles or homes unlocked, and so if you did bump into a bear, you could probably
You've got
try to hop
you got a
inside
refuge.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a unique spot. It's the only place also in the world with a polar bear alert team and a polar bear alert hotline. So if you do see a polar bear, you're asked to report it right away, and this specialized team will come try to move that bear out of town or keep people safe and keep the bears safe. Yeah, it's everyone's kind of all hands on deck, all eyes looking out. Yeah, it's pretty special that
It's
way.
living on the edge, literally.
Yeah, totally.
And so we've got some people asking, just following up on how would I come up there? What would be the approach, and what should I bring? Right? So you got to pack some really good boots, some really good shoes, layers. Like it's cold up here.
Yeah, it's funny because it can get, definitely check the weather before you come because it can get also pretty warm in the summer. And in the fall, like even a few days ago, it wasn't all that cold, but like we're seeing today, temperatures turn very quickly. Layers are your friend. I have my mucklucks and my toque and my mittens, multiple layers of pants, and always be prepared. There's always extra stuff in our backpacks. You can never really have too much stuff. I don't think there's such thing as packing light in the north. That's not really wise. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to do is, I know we have a slide. I'd like people to consider going to polarbears.international.org and donating. This is Polar Bear Week, so part of the reason we're here from our standpoint is to help shed some light on the amazing work that Polar Bears International does. So there's a QR code on your screen that you can scan. They're a registered nonprofit in the US and Canada. You can scan that QR code and pick which country you're in, and you can make a donation, or you can go to pbears.org or polarbearsinternational.org. It'll take you to the same spot and click the donate button. But they do amazing work, Elisa and her team, and everyone. That's been so incredible having us here. And it's not just the bears, right? You're also researching the sea ice and how that affects the bears and the seals. And
right, it's to really understand polar bears, you need to have a bit of a holistic approach. So on our team specifically, we're not necessarily the ones doing the sea ice research, but we're supporting sea ice research, or we have a wonderful chief climate scientist, Dr. Flavio Lehner, who's doing some really cool sea ice and climate work, and we work with climate scientists really actually across the globe, and increasingly in Norway, for example. So to understand what goes on with polar bears, we need to understand their sea ice habitat, what's going on with the seals, what's going on with even pollution, all those sorts of things. So it really takes an international collaborative approach. Our team is not very big. We're still a relatively small organization, but we get told all the time that we punch above our weight, and I think a lot of that is because we're so collaborative. We have partners across the north, across the world, and in that way we can learn more and more.
Martinberger asks,
Martinberger's back.
Aaron and Nick, are you guys wearing sandals today?
No sandals today. Martin knows us too well.
Aaron, look out your window. You've got a couple of bears are now walking.
Oh, they're back up, right over here.
Yeah, they're up and moving.
Oh, they are up and moving. Look at that shape. Look at those shapes right there. See how I've got this drawing here where I'm walking. I have them walking along, kind of sniffing the air. But a lot of times they've got this posture where they walk along. This is one of the beauties of being able to see them from life. As they walk along, they move with their heads, I wouldn't say down, but kind of straight ahead, and maybe down a little bit. But they're coming down like so. Until they're always moving their heads, always, sniffing the air. Bears are like that in general. Their sense of smell is incredible, right?
It really is. They can smell for over a kilometer away and much more, depending on the size and stinkiness of the prey. A dead whale will bring bears in from tens of kilometers away. They're really navigating. I think we talk about landscapes and seascapes, and they really have smellscapes in their world, I think.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's an interesting term,
Yeah.
smellscapes. Yeah, that's wild. Someone asks, when will I be able to see snow bear in Canada? Well, it's played at a few film festivals, and we talked about this on the earlier stream, but we haven't mentioned it here. Last night, Aaron, what was the amazing experience that we had?
So I spent the day yesterday with the kids at the school here in Churchill. They've got one school. It's K through 12, and I talked to kids all the way from K through 12, and we had such a great time. And we made friends with all of them. We had really a fun time. And then after that, we did a screening for the town at the local theater of Snow Bear, and all the kids showed up along with a lot of great adults. And it was a really fun time just talking about the inspiration behind the film, how we made the film, showing the film itself, and taking questions. And Elisa talking about Polar Bears International. And we're talking about Polar Bear Week and all kinds of fun stuff. And so it was a great day, just an awesome day, an honor. Really.
Really was. Those kids, I think some of them, they'll remember that forever. They just had the best day. A lot of them came to both showings. There were 2 showings. They came to both.
They were great. I made friends, that's for sure.
You did.
And we had we did animation live in the classroom. So I took them through my career and talked about some of the the Disney characters that I've done, and that was a lot of fun. But then we brought 1 or 2 kids up and had them give us some little bear vocalizations, and then I went ahead and animated them as bears, and that went over huge, so that was fun.
We were talking about the whales swimming underwater, and Aaron, if we have it, I think I'll run the clip from Snow Bear of the bear swimming underwater. We're going to go ahead and in Snow Bear where he's swimming underwater. We're going to roll that clip. Will they be able to hear us over top of it? Can we talk over it? Okay. So Aaron, why don't you talk over top of the clip, because I want to talk about maybe what you learned. Did you learn anything? Would you have approached animating it differently now that you've...
Yeah, all I had to go off of, because I wasn't able to come up to Churchill and see polar bears in the wild and see them and go to the Winnipeg Zoo and all of that. So I went off of what I had seen, what I could find online through documentaries, the YouTube videos, when we were doing the underwater stuff. And one of the things I noted, or at least my observation, my interpretation of the observation, was that the polar bears were really all about using their front paws and their back feet just kind of hung behind. And that's true, I guess, when they're swimming the open ocean. But when they're under the water and they're playing and swimming around each other, they are using every leg and getting all kinds of contorted poses, and it was really, really cool. And I wish I had seen that and pushed that. I like what we ended up with in the film, but having seen that now, I think that it could have been really dynamic and really cool.
Yeah,
even more so.
Dana on YouTube comments, "Wow, look at those scapulas rolling when they're walking." She's watching the feed of them having walked across there just a little bit ago.
Yeah, they're a little bit lean right now, right?
They are, yeah. They came off the ice June, July. Haven't really had a big meal for a couple months. And
yeah, so the bears have been fasting basically. They're getting ready to. Once again, winter is their feast time. So you're going to see that they look a little bit thin right now, and so because of that, you're going to see that anatomy under the skin. You'll see those scapulas moving. You'll see you can see. Look at the pelvic area and the hips moving up and down and back and forth, and they kind of feel like bones that are draped right now. Mm-hmm. And but they'll get out there and they'll get some fat on them, and you can thank the seals for that. Mm-hmm. One of the things about these polar bears, about polar bears in general, is one thing I've noticed is how low their butt hangs, their tail and everything, and really a little different than grizzly bears and other bears that I've seen. Their back end kind of hangs down a little bit differently. It's interesting. It's all big and round. Well, not in this case. They're kind of a little bony right now, but there's really some great. This is great examples of locomotion right now, and that I was able to find a good amount of when I was doing my research, is polar bear locomotion, and really had a lot of fun with that.
By the way, that camera feed that we're seeing, for people are asking, they're saying this setup is incredible. There's a webcam mounted to this buggy, right? And so it's a tilt control camera, and it feeds to Explorer.org, and that's you're seeing the feed right off of this Tundra buggy.
Absolutely.
That is all real time, folks. That we're looking at those bears right now outside the buggy.
Isn't that cool? And there's, I will say too, there's 2 cameras mounted on the lodge that we'll sleep at tonight. And then there's 2 cameras farther east of here on Cape Churchill. And
is that that's the lodge behind us, right?
Right there, yep.
Okay, so I just want to paint a picture for people. When you hear the lodge, I thought, okay, there was some sort of hotel or something built out on the Tundra. It's basically a bunch of Tundra buggies attached together like train cars.
I was going to say, are we able to show that?
I think Ray might be able to switch to it in a minute, maybe, if he's able to. I don't want to put him on the spot, but
yeah.
It's,
Thanks, Ray.
I don't know, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
It's
maybe.
a wagon train.
Yeah, there's like
It's
a
a
kitchen,
hotel on wheels.
a lounge, a couple bunk cars, some staff accommodations. Yeah, it's pretty unique. It's cool. It's like a space station on land.
Yeah.
It's super cool. And it says mobile hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah, this is a whole new world. This is a great experience. This is, this is why we do all these things, but I do it so I can go out and have these experiences. Completely selfish. I love going out and doing all the seminars and everything, all those things that we do. But when I get out to do this stuff, this is my favorite. I love it.
A win-win.
Yeah.
Win
Yeah,
for
it
the
really
Bears,
is.
win for us, win for you. It's
Yeah.
great.
For people just joining on TikTok, because we've got people coming on there, we're in Churchill, Manitoba. We're broadcasting live from the Tundra. We're here with Aaron Blaze and Alyssa McCall from Polar Bears International, and we're talking polar bears because it's Polar Bear Week, and we came up here with our short film Snow Bear. We're doing everything backwards. We made the film first, and now we're up here to see
Looking
the
at
polar bears.
polar bears.
Yeah, to see the polar bears in the wild.
So, but for those of you that are wondering what we're doing, because I've gotten that question a lot, what are we doing post Snow Bear? Well, we're hoping that we can get that Snow Bear is just the beginning, and we're hoping that we can get. We've got another project called Polar, which is a feature-length project that we're trying to get off the ground. We're hoping that we continue our relationship with Elisa and everybody else here at Polar Bears International, and I always say that as I get older in my career, you come to a kind of philosophical point in your life where you realize that the days ahead of you are shorter than the days behind you, and you get to where you want to start making a difference. You want to know that what you're doing is that it matters, and so I'm passing into that. I've always had that notion, but kind of it's on my mind a lot. And so the fact that we can be here and hopefully help make a difference in some form or another, that makes me happy. So.
And I know we've got people watching on different platforms all over the world. We've got people on Twitch, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. I see somebody watching from Monterrey, Mexico. I saw someone watching from Iceland a few minutes ago. So let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'll say hello. And just thank you for tuning in, because this has been one of the most special experiences of my life. I can't even, there's no words. The words no worky.
No worky.
I feel you, yeah.
We are just cranking away. I'm going to take you through show you some of the drawings we've been doing. So this is just what I've been sketching out since we've been sitting here, watching bears walk by and seeing them sniff the air and walking along. They're quick little sketches, but I wanted to show you. This really happened. We saw these.
Can you
bears
square
spawn.
it up to the camera?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Is
Is that what you mean?
It gets rid of the glare.
Yeah. Perfect.
And until before we came out here, we drove around town, and we were able to. Before I saw any bears, I just wanted to draw the landscape, and so we went around town, and I did a lot of sketching of the landscape. The landscape itself it's got a character and a personality, and it's dramatic and it's wonderful. And so these are some of the images we did with that. Once again, these are just graphite with some of that acrylic paint pens, and they're very quick sketches. They're usually 15 to 20 minutes, and they're just there to get an impression down. And one of the things I love about this area, for those other artists out there watching, it's just how the abstract design of this place is incredible, from the trees and the rocks and the dark and the light and everything else. It's a very, very cool design to everything that's here, and it's very unique to this environment. It's a lot different than Florida. Let me tell you, Florida is flat, but it's a different world altogether.
Yeah.
And, it's great.
We've got people, just because I asked, so people are letting us know, we've got people watching from Hong Kong, India, Brisbane, Australia, Amsterdam, the Netherlands, all over the U.S., like everywhere. They're in London, they're in England, they're in Bulgaria, they're in Germany, Wisconsin, just like Portugal. It's just going on and on and on. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, and please help us spread the word. Let people know about Polar Bears International and the amazing work that they can do. And I think we should throw up the QR code again if people want to donate, go to polarbearsinternational.org. You'll be helping directly contribute to the work that's so crucial being done with Polar Bears International, helping support these animals and the people that live around them, and reducing human-bear conflict, and just all the important work that's necessary to, protect these beautiful, beautiful animals.
We have got a great audience today. I'm so happy that you guys are tuning in. Nick and I have been so excited about this trip, and it's a dream come true. It's absolutely one of my bucket lists.
Twitch question, have you seen any of them drinking a Coca-Cola while you've been there?
No.
Martin says, let's be honest, Aaron, you only made Snow Bear so that you could get to do this trip.
Martin knows me too well. This is just absolutely, and on top of it, we're, one of the things I love about doing these trips, another thing I love about doing these trips is just meeting great people. And so we are sitting in a Tundra buggy full of great people right now. And so I want to thank you guys for having us so much.
Thank you so much for coming up. We are just so lucky you reached out to us. We didn't have to even do anything. You came to us with a wonderful product already, and this has just worked out so great. Now we get to live together and sleep in bunk beds together and eat together and not leave each other space for days.
Yeah, that's what's pretty cool. It's like a big RV. It's like a slumber party.
Yeah.
But
so it's good we all like each other so far. Yeah.
By the way, I see people watching from Brazil. I didn't forget you. I see you. You're hi, Brazil. We know you're there. Thank you so much.
Did they call you out?
Yeah, they were like, don't forget about us down here in Brazil, Aaron.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. Everyone's saying, oh, what a cool live. This is such a treat. Yeah, someone's saying, did you work on Brother Bear, Aaron? This is someone on TikTok.
That's one of my number one questions. I directed Brother Bear, so yes, I worked on Brother Bear. So bears have been a big influence in my art for a long, long time. So yes, and it was a joy to work on that film, but even more of a joy to make Snow Bear. And I never got the things that we're doing with that little film with Snow Bear. I never got to do the same type of thing with Brother Bear, and so it's really, really satisfying for it to be doing what it's doing and kind of bringing the awareness that it's bringing. So I'm very happy about that.
Elisa, what are some of the if you could have the people watching today have one takeaway, what would that be?
Ooh. I would want them to take away hope. I think, times are a little wild out there right now, and there's so much going on, and it's easy to kind of give up or not turn to optimism. I totally get it. But we know at Polar Bears International, for polar bears, there is still time, and so that means there's still time for us too. And the more we do now, the better off we'll be. This is not when it comes to climate change particularly, this is not a black and white scenario. It's not already too late. It's not. Making good choices now will mean the future looks brighter. And you know what? There's so many good people doing so many good things, and we don't hear as many good news stories as we should. And there really is such a wonderful community. And see if you can join in somewhere. And anything that's good for polar bears is good for people too. Our future is shared. It's one and the same. So and just the joy, I think. And Aaron is so good at that. You guys are so great at that. It's easier to be optimistic when you feel that joy.
Yeah.
And when you're watching the bears and looking at the art, and that happiness is like, yeah, let's keep going with this.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's I want to make sure that my granddaughter has a chance to come up here, and my granddaughter's kids and their kids and their kids and generation after generation.
Exactly.
So, but how are we doing? I'm running out of words.
We're just about at time. We're about ready to wrap up.
So I want to thank you guys. Oh yeah, it's 3:54. We've got a lot more drawing to do. Actually, the light is waning a little bit. It's getting a little dark, but I want to thank you guys for joining us. This has been so special. Are we coming back again? Are we doing another live stream?
We're going to be doing more live streams throughout the week on Polar Bears International's feed. So make sure, explore.org. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. So make sure you guys tune in. Do we have something that we can throw up on the screen for them for that?
No, they
Okay.
can find more information. It's live, people. We don't.
Hey, we're doing it.
You can find more information at polarbearsinternational.org because I know they've
Totally.
got a streaming schedule during the week because I was looking at
Yeah, we're
it
going to be
earlier.
back
Yeah.
again. So we're out here for today, tomorrow, and the next day, and we're really excited. Once again, I want to thank you guys for having us out here. This has been such a treat to share with you guys. You know, usually, you're stuck watching me in my little office in my home in Florida, but here we are in Churchill, Manitoba, drawing polar bears from life. I told you we were going to do this. I wasn't lying. So this is very exciting.
And we got to go to the bear cam because he's walking again.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
yeah.
Look how cold it is out there. It just looks cold. Yes, and we're nice and cozy. Matter of fact, I'm sweating inside this thing. So we got a lot more stuff. And when we get back to next week, we'll share so much of what we've done and what we saw and everything else. So stay tuned for that as well, along with some really cool other things that we're going to be putting out there and announcing.
Definitely follow Aaron Blaze Art on Instagram because we're going to be posting a bunch of drawings over the next couple of days that we're doing here for sure. And we'll be tagging Polar Bears International. So there you go.
Cool.
Thanks a lot, you guys. And like I say, go on out there and put some beauty back into the world because that's what we do as artists, and it's our job to get out there and get people to see things a little bit differently. So go put some beauty back into the world, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Future generations of people and polar bears depend on the decisions and plans that we make today. A polar bear's life cycle is almost exclusively tied to the sea ice. Because polar bears rely on sea ice to hunt, to breed, and sometimes to den, sea ice loss from climate change is their biggest threat, and the reason the bears are listed as vulnerable on the IUCN's Red List of Threatened Species. What we learn about climate change impacts on polar bears in Hudson Bay can be applied across the Arctic to help conserve other populations. Climate change is already affecting some populations of polar bears. Since we get most of our energy from fossil fuels, we are producing huge amounts of carbon dioxide. You see, regular amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere act like a blanket around the Earth, trapping heat and keeping our planet at a stable temperature. However, when we burn fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas for energy, we pump rampant amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This buildup thickens the blanket, trapping too much heat, disrupting the climate, and melting Arctic sea ice. When Arctic waters are cold enough, the top layer freezes into a special type of ice called sea ice. Sea ice is to the ocean what soil is to a forest. It supports the entire Arctic food chain. Food from this marine ecosystem also sustains northern communities. The key to getting the climate back to functioning the way it should, and to preserving a future for polar bears across the Arctic, is to move away from using fossil fuels for energy altogether. The most important thing we can do is vote with the climate in mind to let our leaders know we support a swift transition to renewable energy sources. In the meantime, we can directly participate in and learn more about our local and regional renewable energy options. We can all make a difference outside our own households